So picking up where I left off, I'm about 19 years old now, and I'm living on my own. I'm supporting myself. I'm pretty much staying out of trouble for the most part. I'm not interacting with people. The only interactions I had were basically girlfriends. They would come and stay with me, and that was it. I didn't have many friends. I didn't socialize. Very, very to myself. And so what changed all that was one particular night where I had a guest staying with me for a couple of days from California, a girl, and at that time I also had some friends and family that were, asking me to go out to a nightclub with them. And I think it was only because of the girl that she was there and she wanted to go. I was somehow able to be convinced to go. But in any case, I go to this nightclub, and we're there, we're drinking, and we're leaving. And when we leave, um, it's me and the girl in the car, and I ended up having an encounter with one of the security from the nightclub. Now we're completely out of the club, though. We're in the middle of the street, and he had a baseball bat. He hit the windows of my car and broke the windows and tried to attack me with the bat. And I had a baseball bat in my car, and we ended up fighting with bats in the street. And the guy lost the fight. I beat the fuck out of this guy, and I broke a bunch of bones in his body and fractured his skull in multiple places. And cops show up. So when the cops show up, I'm covered in this guy's blood now. And I'm just standing in the street, and they come and they're pointing all their guns at me, and I go down, and that was it. I was arrested, and I was charged with some serious crimes. As a result of those crimes, I was facing 43 years in prison. And so when they first arrested me, I was held in a police station, and I was held in some cells uh, in the basement of the police station. And so for the first couple of days, once they realized I was not going to be cooperative with them, I'm not going to give them any information, I'm not going to confess to anything. They they were telling me initially that the guy was in a coma, which I believed true. And then after the third or fourth day, all the cops started coming down telling me that the guy died. And so now they're fucking with me, telling me murder one, motherfucker. You never go home. You'll never get out. So it turns out that the cops were lying to me, and the guy didn't die. He came out of the coma, and I was given a bail, and I posted bail. So I'm out on bail, and I'm facing a lot of time for the first time in my life. And I had a paid attorney on the street, and the attorney basically led me to believe that the thing we have to look forward to most in assessing how serious this is going to turn out is the initial plea offer that the state is going to make and present to me. And so some time passed, we didn't get any offer, and when I finally did get the offer, the state offered me 30 years. 30 years with a mandatory 85%, and they told me at that time that there would be no additional plea offers, no negotiation, and if I don't want that, I go to trial. If I go to trial and lose, I get the maximum, which was 43. So upon knowing that piece of information, I started really, really declining mentally. Mentally and emotionally, I was, even though I was free, I was not in jail yet. Things started building up inside me in anticipation of this upcoming trial. I didn't accept the deal, and I told them I was going to go to trial. And so, while out on bail, I was able to convince the judge to allow me to move to California. I moved to California because my girlfriend at the time had an opportunity with her father, business-wise, and there was a place for me out there also. And so we sat down, we met a couple times, and we were able to negotiate something that made sense for me as well. And I went out there and started working um, in California. I loved Southern California. It was a beautiful life I had out there externally. When you looked at it from the outside perspective, things were wonderful, and nobody knew the reality. The girl knew, but nobody else. The reality that I was like a dead man walking. Each day I was just one day closer, and I woke up and I went to sleep thinking about prison, thinking about the inevitable and what was coming for me. And so that's how the decline began for me. The anticipation of losing my life to prison really, really fucked with me, and basically got me to the point where, as time passed, I just started caring less and less about real life and about working and about, doing the regular things of life. And I lost hope. And as I lost hope, I became angry and just wanted to lash out. And so that led me to a place where I became very dangerous, very, very dangerous, because even though I didn't, again, I never fucked with other people. I never made victims of any innocent people. I never went out of my way and stole and robbed from people. Never did anything like that. But because of my state of mind, the people that did encounter me on bad terms, I was very dangerous to those people because I had nothing to lose. I had nothing to lose, and I was feeling like I was dead already. I was already given a death sentence for me. That 30 years or the 43 was the end of me. There was no light at the end for me. So um, I was really messed up at that time. So I ended up having to come back to New Jersey to face this trial. At the time, years had passed, a couple of years had passed, and it was one of the older cases on the county's docket, and I had to finally face it now. And so during the time that I'm back in New Jersey, anticipating this court date now, I further fell into a much much worse decline. And what I mean by that is I started drinking a lot, and I started just hanging out and not staying home and being out at bars in the streets. And so that led to a different chapter in my life where I was even more dangerous now because I had street people around me. I ended up having a lot of people that were willing to follow me, and a lot of bad could have come from that, much worse than what actually did, because these were real, real dangerous people, and I was not in the right state of mind to be leading anyone. And so I started again. Now I'm in the streets, and I'm basically just fucked up, and I didn't care. I didn't care about life. I had nothing to live for, and I was already in my mind. I was already dead, so it didn't matter to me what I did. I had no fear. And so soon after that, I ended up getting arrested again for something else while I'm on bail before I made it to court. And that arrest ended up being serious in the sense that rather than being prosecuted by local prosecutors as usual, they decided to prosecute me through the Attorney General's office, organized crime unit. And basically, they were saying that I was part of a criminal organization of which I was the leader that was involved in truck hijackings and robbing drug dealers and stealing construction equipment. And there was a lot of allegations they made, some of which things were true, some were not. But again, I'm not going to go into exact details for obvious reasons. But I was guilty for the most part of what I was accused of. And so I was just crazy at that time, and life had brought me to a place where I was desperate in my mind, and I was so mentally weakened at that point where I I was just I was gone. It's hard for me to even describe and explain to you that I was like an alien living among species I don't even know. I wasn't even like I couldn't relate to the people in any way, and that factored in with some similar people, like-minded people, other people that were in desperate situations, other people that had similar backgrounds to me, and we all came together. And like I said, they were willing to follow me, and so we were a very, very dangerous force at that time. And even then, I never made victims of anyone. Um, I'll be upfront. The people I made victims of were drug dealers, and not just regular drug dealers, but those that were. There had to be a particular reason why I would get one of them, and usually it was because of the way they carried themselves, or something that I knew that they did, or But yeah, drug dealers, I would rob them, and I would rob them in their houses. I would rob them in the streets, wherever. And it's not something I'm proud of, But the way I looked at it back then was, when you choose to live that kind of lifestyle and you choose to be that type person, then you open yourself to that. I mean, that's what it is. Same as me. I was in the streets, and I was carrying guns everywhere I went, and all the time. So we were all part of that. And when you want to be a fucking gangster, you got to deal with the other fucking gangsters out there that are going to come after you. And so I always accepted that, and I felt that they were fair game. I didn't feel that they were victims, that were not innocent, they're not civilians. It was like again differentiating between um, soldiers and civilians. These guys chose that life, and I chose that life, and so shit happened, and that was part of the reason why I was targeting those guys. But there was a lot of crime going on back then. Basically, we were just every single day. I had no work anymore. I wasn't working. It was just in the streets. A lot of different things, and I don't want to go into specifics of it. But so I got arrested again, and I got charged with a bunch of other crimes. And at that point, I was classified maximum security in the jail I was in, and so I spent some time there, and I bailed out again, and now I'm on bail again with 2 pending charges. So things were getting worse and worse for me as time passed. And I became more and more desperate. I was facing more and more time, and I had already given up hope. I had no hope that I was going to come out of this whole thing. So life was pretty much over, and that was the end. So I had nothing to lose. I had nothing to lose. So I continued doing what I was doing, even though I knew I was under investigation, even though I was able to see the fucking cops, the agents and shit following me. I was being followed by helicopter. I had tracking devices on vehicles. There was a huge, huge multi-task force involved. I didn't know how big it was until years later, but I knew I was being watched, and I continued on anyway. And so a couple months passed, and again, I'm in the streets now, and I'm trying to come up with as much money as I can in hopes that maybe I could, have a big score come my way and just avoid this whole prison shit and say fuck you to New Jersey and leave the country. Even though I never really wanted that in my heart, because I knew also that there's no end in that. You lose no matter what. You become a fugitive, and it's only a matter of time. You'll get caught eventually. And I didn't want that to happen for me. I didn't want to be a fugitive for 10 years and start a life somewhere else, and then once things start getting good, boom, get caught. So, but nevertheless, I needed money to pay for attorneys and for a lot of things. I needed money. So an opportunity came to me where it was a truck, and basically I was going to take one tractor trailer and take the contents of that trailer and transport them to another. And I had a deal facilitated, and I was going to make a lot of money. It was almost $1 million, where me and a friend of mine were going to make, and everything was already in place. And when we went to the place where we were supposed to get, the truck was supposed to be, it was a rest stop on the turnpike, and the security was in on it, and they opened the gate for us, and we pull in, and I knew right away, I felt it, I knew right away that something was wrong. And so I told my friend to stay in the truck. He's driving a big truck himself. And I jump out, and I look around, and I see nothing. I hear nothing. And again, I have this sixth sense in my stomach that something bad's about to happen. I knew something was wrong. And at that second, I just hear screaming, and I look around, and I see guys in SWAT team gear just rushing at me, machine guns pointed at me everywhere. And helicopters came, I hear dogs barking. The first thing I did was scream to my friend to run. So I'm screaming for him, run, go. And he takes off. And they're not concerned with him at that time. They're coming to get me. So they get me, and I had no weapon, which was very unusual for me. I think it was because I knew I was under investigation, but every other time I was always carrying guns. So this was unusual that I didn't. But they get me on the ground, and they keep me there. And that was an example of what, in my opinion, was a huge overreaction by the state. I mean, I remember making fun of them and telling them, like, I just can't believe how you guys come get me? They must have came with like 200 agents. It was fucking ridiculous. There were helicopters flying overhead. There were all these people there, and they brought a fucking tank, a huge tank. They brought, I don't know if it's called a tank, but it looked like a tank to me. And I asked them what that was for, and they told me that they thought we were going to run in the truck we were in, so they were going to take us out with that tank. But I just remember thinking, it's unbelievable. You motherfuckers need 200 people to come fucking get me. I'm not even armed. I'm one person. Here I am. And this is how fucking afraid you are of me. And so that's the kind of, mindset I had back then. It was just, I had no respect for the cops and for the way they moved. I respected balls. I respected courage. I respected if, you have a problem with another man, you go fucking handle that with the other man in a way that he has a chance also. So for them to come at me like that was, way too much in my opinion. But that's the way things are these days. So my friend was able to get away, and it was one of the first times, maybe the only time in New Jersey state history that somebody got away on foot from a multi-state task force like that. I mean, there was a lot of agencies involved. It was state police, it was street gang unit, it was robbery, theft, and cargo. It was multiple counties and sheriffs. There was a lot of shit involved, and he got away. And so he got away. He got away for a couple of weeks, and he ended up getting caught eventually also. But as a result of that arrest, now I ended up not being able to bail out. The judge that I faced put like a special hold on me, a restrictive hold, where he didn't allow me to bail out. After a couple of months passed, he was forced to assign a bail, and he gave me a $1.5 million bail. So there was no way I could bail. In addition to that 1.5, I had a freeze on me, so I was held, no way out. And so now I'm in a position where there's no way for me to get on the streets, and I have to start. I'm already in jail. I'm already in custody. So my time in jails and prisons was about to begin.